On this episode of Sports Opinions Podcast, NetsDaily.com reporter and beat writer for the Brooklyn Nets, Anthony Puccio stops by as we discuss the Nets offseason plans, the NBA playoffs, and the Boston Red Sox. Sports fans, I plugged them before. I'll plug them again. I'll continue to plug them. Personal Foul Podcast, where my buddy Colton Gesser as the host, has a great show over there. They have a lot of guests on just like this one. If you like this show, you'll definitely like that one. Go give it a listen almost anywhere you can listen to podcasts. And again, go visit overtimeheroics.com. You will love all the sports articles that they have there. And also, if you go to the top right-hand corner, click on the forum, you'll be able to discuss with a bunch of like-minded sports fans as well. So I recommend going and give that a look-see. And without further ado, cue the intro. What's up, sports fans, and welcome to the Sports Opinions Podcast. I am your host, as always, Alex Cuesta, and with me today is a reporter for Nets Daily, Anthony Puccio. What's up, man?
Alex, all season fun. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And for those Nets fans keeping score at home, he's better known as Pooch. And you have become a little bit of a cultural icon amongst Nets fans. I'm not going to lie. If Pooch is there and, you're somewhere, people are taking notice at this point. How does that feel?
It's great. I got to tell you, Alex, like, been covering this team for 6 years, and to see the fans embrace me and the players and coaches and things like that, to be a part of this so-called, culture, it's an honor for that, to have that title, I guess, right?
Yeah, I could imagine. So the wardrobe right now, are you stacking up for next season already? Because that became a bit of a fun thing on Twitter. Basically, who wore it best between you, RJ, Michael Grady? Like it got fun this year with that.
Oh, so much fun. But I was competing with Damari Cowell, man. I'm competing with the best, so I gotta up my game a little bit.
I mean, up our game, and me and you probably both need to up where we're shopping at, because Damari can kind of shop anywhere and get whatever the hell he wants.
Hey, man, it's the guy wearing the suit, not the suit, right?
There it is.
They always say.
Man. So, as spoken, you cover the Nets, so we're going to start off talking Nets. And free agency is right around the corner. Basically, I think a lot of people are kind of considering the NBA done with the Warriors still around. But fans like us, Nets fans, reporters like you, are looking forward to free agency for our respective teams. And rumors are swirling. Who's going to the Lakers? Who's going to the Knicks? And our little Nets are getting thrown in there, little sprinkles like, hey, don't forget about them. Don't forget about them. And this past week, we had some pretty big news if you're a Nets fan. We've been hearing it for a while, but now here's something concrete that we haven't, I think, heard of that much. What have you heard about the rumor that the Nets are coveting both Kyrie and Anthony Davis and are possibly pursuing a trade for Anthony Davis, including D'Angelo Russell, Jarrett Allen, picks, possibly Karis LeVert, similar to the one they did before the trade deadline, but it might have some more traction here.
Yeah, with Anthony Davis, it's an intriguing case because, the Nets got to hit on somebody this summer. And regarding a trade, Sean Marks has really gone against trading any of his foundational core pieces, young players to get him, especially that he is a free agent. Like, they didn't want to do it with Jimmy Butler. They don't want to do it with him. But at the same time, if you have a chance to get AD and launch into that upper echelon, that's what you're going to do. I don't know how likely that's going to be, because what I mentioned, they're not going to want to include a Karis LeVert in there. And the Pelicans are going to want him. A sign and trade with D'Angelo Russell is extremely hard, especially with the new CBA. Sign and trades really don't happen much. So, while there is noise around Anthony Davis and this whole idea of him, there are teams that might have a better package, especially if the Nets don't want to ante up with some of their foundational pieces. So, again, Alex, I get it. It's exciting. It's fun. The Nets are definitely in conversations with the Pelicans. They're definitely intrigued by Anthony Davis, but At the end of the day, we got to remember that free agency is still 38 days away, and there's look, all it takes is one domino to fall for everything else to change. Now, I will say with Kyrie Irving, there's definitely mutual interest on both sides. I know that Kyrie's camp is pushing him towards Brooklyn, and the Nets feel like they could work anything out, whether it's Kyrie and another superstar or Kyrie and D'Lo. They feel like whatever happens, they'll take any talent that they can get.
Without a doubt. Now, us Nets fans and you as a reporter, you've gotten to know a good amount of the guys, and we feel like we've all gotten to know them as well. I feel like the culture, like you said, the culture that's been built through Sean Marks and Kenny Atkinson, and just watching some of these guys who are just kind of like rags to riches players. There's very few D'Los on our team where they're number 2 picks. We have a lot of guys that were, thrown to the G League and were thought of to never come out of the scrap heap. Joe Harris, Spencer Dinwiddie, even Karis LeVert. People knew he could score. They never knew if he was going to get healthy. I think it would kind of hurt in order to have to give up all these guys. I feel like we could stomach Kyrie, Kawhi, bringing in free agents, but I don't know if Nets fans would be pretty happy about trading for guys like this. What's the pulse in the locker room, if you have any, about how the guys feel? They're such a tight-knit group about, they know the business of trades. Are any of them nervous about this group breaking up and the chemistry breaking up at all?
Look, I mean, you said it, and it's the truth. These guys love playing together. They love being around one another, and that's the general consensus around the locker room. But the one thing about the Nets is that they're very young, but they're very mature, and they do understand the business. And at any point, anything could happen. This is an organization that was rebuilding really for the last 3 years, and even this year was considered a rebuild, and they just so happened to take that next step because really D'Angelo Russell went off and brought them, helped them skip a couple of steps. So, like, again, these guys aren't complaining. They're not worried. I think it's just like they understand where this organization needs to go, and they understand that, they may be victims of circumstances. But, at the end of the day, these guys all love playing together. If they do mostly happen to come back, I'm sure they'd all be very much happier that way. And Kenny Atkinson has said the same. He says, I love these guys so much. I don't want to lose anybody. They were such a fun, coachable team. You see them. They're having so much fun dancing on the sidelines and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, like they obviously want to be back playing together. But, again, they understand, where this organization is.
Definitely. So, quickly, can we squash this whole rumor? I know recently assistant GM Trajan Langdon went over to the Pelicans. He well-deserved got his GM job, and there's a strong connection, obviously, now to the Nets, to Sean Marks. But if he's a Sean Marks disciple, then he is going to do what is best for New Orleans. I just want to quell all Nets fans here thinking that we are now shoo-ins to get Anthony Davis and we're going to get a Brooklyn-friendly deal. It's not happening. And
right,
not at all.
Right. That's not how this works. Reagan is going over there and he's looking to make the Pelicans, but not the Nets. But I will say the one good thing about having Trajan Langdon in New Orleans, if you want to talk about a trade in these circumstances, that he knows what the Nets have, and he knows who like their valuable pieces are. I mean, he scouted most of these guys. So
yeah,
I guess in that sense, like, yeah, it's a good thing, but I mean, come on, the Nets aren't getting a friendly deal just because he's there.
And he also knows that Sean Marks has a little bit of Danny Ainge in him, where Sean Marks doesn't make a trade that he ever loses. He's never going to lose. If he's going to make a trade, the scales will always be tipped in his favor. He hasn't made a move that has been a loss yet. And
I mean, you could argue Alan Crabb, but he did dump Andrew Nicholson's contract with that. So, but yeah, I agree with you.
Andrew Nicholson was a non-productive player to a productive player, and Alan Crabb was also a guy that they were ready to give the money to anyway.
Right.
And before his injuries started to happen, he was streaky, but when he was on, man, was he on. So it's Alan Crabb could possibly be his lone negative, but he also put Portland in cap hell for a few years. So he did his job.
Right, yeah, and it's a good point, and it's definitely a good argument to be made, whether the Crabb trade was worth it or not. Especially, look at where they were when he did make that offer for him and then eventually trade for him a year after, It looked all good because the Nets needed as much talent as they could possibly get. But
Yep.
now obviously it's hurting them because they have to try and get rid of his contract in order to free up more of those max spots. So definitely an argument to be made. But I would say if there's one of his trades that haven't looked so great, that's the one.
And if Nets trade history, if that's pretty bad for them, then we're doing pretty good. Um, so we're gonna we're gonna talk a little more about D'Angelo Russell, his value now. To me, he had the issue where he stupidly tried to sneak weed through an airport using one of those stupid containers where you screw off the bottom, and it's one of the most obvious things. Anyone that ever walks into any little fun shop, or if you walk around I'm from Jersey, so if you go on Seaside Heights, you can literally win those things. It's not a secret. Cops aren't stupid. I don't understand. I don't understand. You are a multimillionaire. If you want weed, just wait to wherever the hell you're going and buy it. Like, I don't get this. The weed thing drives me nuts. How does this affect him in terms of he was looking for the max money? Will he get it now if with this situation?
Look, I got to be honest with you, Alex. I don't think obviously I don't think it was smart what he did. Um, I also don't think it was the worst thing in the world that could have happened.
Oh, no, I have nothing against weed.
Yeah,
I think it just looks bad in terms of choices and
right.
maturity. And this guy wants to be the leader of a team, and this is not the way, not smart in
Of
leadership.
course, of course. But when it obviously wasn't smart, and how he was caught, it just makes you scratch your head. But when it comes to his contract and things for his future, I don't think it has any implications. I think that obviously he's looking for the max. I don't think the Nets are necessarily looking to max him out. I think they have a price set at a certain range, probably from the 21 to 23 million area. Um, but yeah, I got to tell you, I don't think that that's going to have any effect on it.
I hope not, because he worked hard to shake off this whole entire immature guy, locker room cancer guy type of thing. And with the Nets, he really showed he's not any of that. He's a good leader, a very good, an all-star. So I hope it doesn't affect him. Um, into free agency, put your free agent hat on, put your Sean Marks hat on. Pooch, give us your official predictions on who the Nets are going to get in free agency.
Predictions? Whew.
Let's see it. This
Let's
is from
see.
your mouth. Let's do this. You're putting all of Nets Daily on your back with this prediction.
Well, don't tell Bob Windrum that. um, I think I think that they're going to end up with. I think Jimmy Butler is somebody that is that's a name you got to think about. I mentioned him earlier in the show when we
Mhm.
were talking about trades. And look, I mean, Sean Marks didn't want to trade those guys, but he did get in talks with them for him. And like I said, that's a rarity. That means that he sees something. He sees a vision for Jimmy. I think that the Nets do think that he could slide in here. He's got that killer mentality, that last shot kind of guy, and he can make a lot of these guys around him better. Change of scenery for him too would even be great. I think if he's in a great culture like Brooklyn and is the guy, I don't think I don't think there's any complaints there. But look, Alex, I could predict anybody. That's the problem. Like I could say so many guys because I think they have a real shot at Kyrie. I think they have a real shot at KD. Like they're getting meetings with all these guys, and I think that I could predict whoever. But like I said, all it takes is for that one domino to fall, and then suddenly, we're talking about Kevin Durant coming here. So
Yeah.
it's
What are
all
your
very intriguing.
what are your feelings on possibly Kawhi or even Klay Thompson? Both of those guys are names that are out there. Even a Kemba Walker. What are your feelings on any of those guys possibly giving the Nets a real chance? Because all the other guys are definite guys that possibly will Kawhi's relationship with Sean Marks kind of give us a little bit of an in there to at least get a serious meeting out of him?
Alex, as the all season has gone on, I've heard more so that Kawhi isn't probably going to consider the Nets. I'm hearing more Toronto or the Clippers, and that's surprising because early in the season you would think, right, with all these connections that would have helped. But
Yep.
I think he's either going to stay put or go to the Los Angeles Clippers. In regards to Klay Thompson, I have yet to hear his name even come up. Kemba Walker, earlier this spring, I heard, he would welcome a return back to New York, but do the Nets really feel like it's necessary if they could just keep D'Lo? Like I'm not sure there's necessarily mutual interest with him. Now, I think a name to keep in mind also is Tobias Harris. That's somebody that has connections with Kenny Atkinson.
I
They
would
both
love Tobias.
Tobias is a very good player. He's still young. He's still developing. Um, he's somebody that would fit in very well with the culture. And like I said, him and Kenny Atkinson have known each other for a long time. They grew up 20 minutes away from each other. Kenny's brother coached one of Tobias's brothers at Half Hollows West. So, look, there's a lot of connections there. They've obviously been interested in him. I think he's interested in returning back home. But, it all depends. I think the price tag on him is the most important thing here. I don't think they want to overpay Tobias Harris and then shortchange D'Angelo Russell.
How much would that rivalry heat up if the Nets were able to steal both Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris from the Sixers? It would just take another level if we were basically able to take two of their starting pieces. That would be awesome.
I mean, where would that put the Sixers, right? Like their whole process basically was spent on really those two guys. I mean, they gave up Dario and Robert Covington for Jimmy Butler, who they might lose, and that Clippers deal too. They gave up a lot to get Tobias. So, you say rivalry, and I agree with you, but at the same time, if those two guys are gone out of Philly, they're in big trouble.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So, jumping in, expectations for next season. How much closer do the Nets get to 50 wins?
I guess that would be a better question right in a month, just so I have a better idea. But if we're gonna go off early off-season predictions, I think that they add that guy, anybody to help come in here, be a number one option. I think they could reach around 47, 48 wins.
Wow, I like that. That's a third slot in the East without a doubt, if not second. I'm excited for that number.
Look, their trajectory is headed up. Obviously, they took a 14-game jump. Look at the Clippers this year; they won 42. They won 48 games after winning 42 last year. I think the Nets might find themselves in a similar situation next year, where that maybe third, fourth seed. But again, it depends. If Kevin Durant comes here, if Kyrie Irving comes here, we might be talking about 1 or 2 seed here.
Pooch, this is why you're the best. You give all of us Nets fans hope. This is why you are the guy that we look to.
Look, man, I got to tell you, Alex, like everybody in the media, it seems like, they have the stigma around the Nets because that they're from Jersey and they're the little brother, and they haven't made much noise over the past couple of years. There's a stigma around these guys that they're nobodies, that they're irrelevant, and look, I'm here from an objective standpoint. I've been covering the team. I've been watching the team for my whole life, and I don't think I've ever seen this team in a better position other than them being in the champion. When Jay Kidd was here.
Yeah,
they've put themselves in a position. They're in Brooklyn now. They have money to spend. They have players. They have a culture. They have a very good coaching staff, competent front office. They have everything they need. Like, this media bias that I sense. Getting called out on the radio just because you don't know my name because I write for the Nets. And me going on the radio and asking, "Do you watch the Nets?" And the person saying no, they're irrelevant. I mean, it shows me that, a lot of these guys grew up with the Knicks, so that there's such a Knicks bias. And not only that, they draw clicks and they bring more ratings than the Nets. So these guys want to talk about the Knicks. They wanted Zion to go to New York. So, I come from an objective standpoint, but also let's not drink the Kool-Aid over at MSG or, in Los Angeles with the Lakers. I mean, the Nets are legitimate players here, and let's act like they're not. They're here, and it looks like they're here to stay.
And I'd be excited about that. And I got to say, there's only 4 guys, and I got to give them a shout out, maybe 5 guys in all of major media that actually give the Nets any sort of props. First, it's Evan Roberts on The Fan. He's the only Nets guy holding down the fort. The rest of them love their Knicks, like you say, besides Jerry Recco, but he's not high on our Nets either way. Then we also have Brandon Scoopy Robinson, Basketball Society. He grew up a Nets guy, and he still believes in the Nets. We also have Charles Barkley gives the Nets some props every time, they come around. He likes D'Lo. He likes Karis LeVert a lot. And then Colin Cowherd and Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, he said flat out, when the Nets got Darren Williams, he thought that it was the better deal. And he sees what they're becoming. He constantly tells everyone, watch out for the Brooklyn Nets come free agency. They are a legitimate team. And what he hears is that there are players very interested in the culture and in seeing who Sean Marks can get. So those are the guys. And Colin Cowherd, people hate on the herd, but he says it as he sees it. And he has said flat out, Knicks have all the pizzazz, but Nets have all the culture and the talent right now. So those are the 5 guys that I have seen that have been, at least fair to the Nets.
Yeah, I would add Mark Stein to that list.
Mark Stein too, yes.
Right. I think that he's plugged in with the Nets. He knows what he's talking about, and he has said it on several occasions that they're going to be players. And Alex, even Woj, like, I don't know if you saw it earlier this season, but Woj, maybe mid-season when the Nets were making their playoff push, he did that 5-minute clip, and he discussed how, these guys are going to be players. Like, yeah, very much so. And Woj has kind of been on that side really all year long, so more and more people are, I guess, advocating for the Nets, but there aren't many.
Hey, listen, we won Bill Simmons over, who's been one of the biggest Nets haters, and he apologized mid-season when the Nets were making their big run and their big push. He apologized for earlier in the year for calling the Nets a dumpster fire. So if we can win him over, we can win anyone over.
That's 100% true. And I think he tweeted something out, the Nets are like the worst, most embarrassing team in the fourth quarter.
And it was true at the time. I'm not going to lie. At the time, he wasn't wrong.
No, he was 100% right. He was 100% right. That was when they kept collapsing there in the midst of that 8-game losing streak. Mm-hmm. But then after he says that, they go and win 7 straight. I think they won 19 of the next 25 after he tweeted that out. It was like so poetic and so funny.
But all right, enough of us talking about our Nets. We did make the playoffs, so it's a nice segment into our playoff talk here. We're going to talk some NBA playoffs, better known as the Golden State Warriors' long victory parade. But right now, there is the absolute nonsense going on since Kevin Durant is hurt that Golden State is better without Kevin Durant. Are you on that bandwagon? Please tell me you're not on that bandwagon.
Absolutely not. I mean, anybody that says that is absolutely out of their mind. I mean, we're talking about the best scorer in the NBA. Come on. And this guy is a revolutionary talent. You don't see players like him much. So, no, I'm definitely not on that wave. No way.
And I really got to say, and everyone talks about, Steph is coming alive. Well, Steph hasn't had to do anything. He literally has not had to do anything. He's finally having to drop 12 threes a game now and really start to move the ball. Before it was that everyone's like, yeah, Kevin Durant was a ball stopper. When you're scoring 40 points on 12 of 20 shooting, you can be a ball stopper. Like, you're not really stopping much. It's ridiculous, the criticisms that are out there right now.
Yeah, and it's not like Steph wasn't doing anything, even with, Durant dropping these 40, because Curry was right there dropping 26 to 30. I don't know. I think, like, this whole idea that the original Warriors that won that first ring are back, Draymond and Steph and Clay, they're doing it on their own. It makes for a great storyline, but, I mean, look, you got to be drinking some wild Kool-Aid or smoking some of that D-Lo stuff to be saying they're better without KD.
And I really just think that they pulled kind of a, older Tim Duncan, Tony Parker Spurs, or even, a LeBron where we don't care what goes on in the regular season. We don't care kind of what goes on in the first round. Get us to the conference finals, get us to the finals, and then we'll click. Because they don't have to try. They really don't. They have 5 guys that can drop 20 at any time. You have that, you win games. And even guys on the bench that are beasts. And Andre Iguodala, who happens to be a top 5 wing defender. And, Klay Thompson, who's also a top 5 wing defender. So they have so much on that team. To say that KD being gone makes him – it's so stupid. I'm very happy that you are logical.
I try my best. It's just, like I said, people drinking the Kool-Aid and becoming obsessed with the narrative and what the media puts out there instead of just, look, thinking rationally. Simple as that.
Now, quick aside, has LeBron been sending KD thank you cards and a lot of pastries for taking the most hated guy in the NBA label off of him? Because that's all this is, I think, really, because everyone hates KD for going over to Golden State. And I feel like LeBron just has to be the happiest dude for that.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because I think after the Nets loss, I tweeted out a thread like how similar both of their paths have been. Like they started with their hometown teams and their, who drafted them. They tried, they got to the championship, but they can never do it. Then they joined the super teams. They secured their legacy by winning a couple rings. And obviously, LeBron is a little ahead in his career. So he went back to Cleveland. He got that validation. He won that one ring. Now he's off into LA having, dealing with Magic and all that stuff. But, he validated his career. He did it on his own. Where KD right now is in that phase, like you said. He entered villain mode once he went to the super team. And LeBron was the villain when he was in Miami, when he needed to secure his legacy as well. So I think once KD, if he does leave or when he does leave, then he'll become, again, a very well-liked player. He'll lose that villain role. Now it's just a matter of who's going to take it back over.
Yeah, who knows? I feel like the Sixers are ready. I feel like Joel Embiid is just way too happy to be the villain. I'm not going to lie. So I feel like he'll take it and he'll wear it as a badge of honor. I really do.
That's a good point. I mean, if they're as good as they were this year, he'll probably be the villain of the NBA. I still think people do like him, though, just because he's hysterical on social media.
He has the best Twitter. He really does.
Yeah, he's hysterical.
And he's a likable guy. If you're not playing against him and you're watching him against somebody else's team, like I only hated him because he was playing the Nets. When he's not playing the Nets, he's awesome. He's funny to watch, piss everybody off. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, and like I don't even think, like players, as much as they beef with him on the court, like I think guys do actually really like Joel Embiid. I think he's a sweetheart off the court. I think it's just, when it comes to playing, he's just an absolute beast and does questionable things at times, like, elbow Jared Allen in the face and not get a flagrant 2 for it. But, I think like the consensus is this guy, he's a good guy. He's a funny guy.
But Pooch, how soft has the NBA become that we're still mad about that? How soft? Soft? It's okay. It's okay. That was basketball. You know what? Jared Allen needs to put some weight on. Let's be honest. He needs to get some muscle because Embiid beat his ass. That's all he did. So, we could talk about a few things, but the softness of the NBA is insane. It really is. Embiid's a throwback in terms of just how physical he is.
Right.
And it's interesting. And you mentioned how guys definitely still get along because even after such a hard fought physical thing, Jared Dudley gave, Embiid a nice big embrace. So did Jared Allen. Like they understand that it's business on the court and off the court, it's done. It's over. We talk our stuff in the press conferences, but that's where it stops. So I respect that. Their series was a fun series.
I got to tell you, the funny side note, before game one, when Embiid was questionable to play, he came over to the Nets side and, I was sitting there and he's joking with the guys, Rondé and a couple others, like, oh, I'm not playing. My knee hurts so bad. Oh, like he's acting like he wasn't playing and was clowning them.
Oh my God. That's awesome. But that's the fun stuff. That's the gamer stuff. That's when I'm okay with them being friendly to each other, not hanging out in the midst of like something going on. Like I can't stand it when I hated when I saw LeBron and KD in the same vehicle during the season. That pissed me off doing their Sports Center aside. Don't do that. I like Russell Westbrook for the reason that he hates everyone not on his team. I like that. I can't stand the friendliness.
Look at Giannis. Like, I mean, he said it perfectly. Like, why would I work out with these guys when I'm, they're my rivals?
Exactly.
Like, why would I be in the gym with them? And that's the Kobe mentality, right? That's my mentality. And I think we need more players like that.
And thank you for doing my job. Perfect aside. Going on to the Bucks and Raptors. They're in a awesome series right now. I have a strong feeling that whoever's playing at home is going to win. So I think the Bucks are ultimately going to win this in 7. But right now, who's the matchup nightmare for Golden State? We have 2 guys. The superstars are both scorers and defensive stoppers with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kawhi Leonard. Both teams are pretty damn deep. The Raptors are beat up. If they go 7 in this one and somehow win, that is now 14 games that they've played in the last 2 series. That does not bode well against a Golden State team who just swept Portland. So who matches up better come finals time against Golden State?
I think there's no doubt that it's the Bucks, and I think we've been circling this matchup all year long. And I'm gonna say it, and it may seem very simple, but it's like their length. Like you just cannot teach length, and that might be the only thing that could at least contain some of these guys. Like Curry running around screens. Whoever it is, he has a hand in his face no matter what. I mean, you look at the Bucks. a bunch of tree branches down low, and I think that against a team like Golden State, that's vital. That is so important. Obviously, aside from the talent factor, having Giannis and having players like that, they have the most complete team in the NBA, other than the Warriors. So I, I think that the Bucks could push them to 6 or 7. I really do.
I'm hoping that we win a Bucks championship and a Brook Lopez Finals MVP because, goddamn it, Brook Lopez deserves it. I miss that man.
Nobody more than him. Nobody more than him.
He'd spent so much time. He was literally through the worst season in the NBA with the then New Jersey Nets. He deserves it. He deserves a championship at least. I'm happy he's hopefully going to get a chance to make the appearance. God, I miss Brook Lopez.
Yeah, everybody does. And I caught up with Brook at MSG. I was covering for the Associated Press and Knicks Bucks game. That was when Mario Hezonja stepped over Giannis. And I talked to Brook after talking to Giannis, and Brook was just asking him about a situation, how he's doing and everything. He was just so happy. Like he just, you could tell the big goofy Brook smile and the laugh and everything. Just he was just so happy to be in a winning situation and be a big part of it too. Pun intended, I guess, right? He like. You gotta be happy for this guy. He's like the nicest dude in the world. He's a really good basketball player. He deserves all of this.
He's my favorite net of all time and probably still my favorite player in the league. Probably Karis LeVert's the second favorite player, but just Brook Lopez, everything about him, like he just plays the game the right way and he's made himself. Everyone said Brook Lopez is a dinosaur and he's going to be on his way out. He's a low block scorer. He's a great scorer, but he doesn't do much. And then Kenny Atkinson basically gets in his ear and says, dude, I don't want you to be a dinosaur. Start shooting threes. And he does. And now he's a proficient three-point shooter and a cog to a team who's most likely going to play in the finals. Like, I love it. I'm pumped for the guy. And again, like I said, I want a Brook Lopez Finals MVP. Iguodala could get it. So can Brook.
Yeah. And you bring up Kenny, too. Like, that's a big thing that Brook emphasized to me, too, when I spoke with him. Like he said, Kenny, I was taking jump shots a foot or two ahead of the three-point line. Kenny said, Brook, just step back. Just take a step back and shoot the same shots you're already taking. So I said, did he save your career? He goes, I think he did. Because, he goes, I don't know what the way the league is headed, if any coach would have said it, but he's like, he was the first to actually encourage me. So, if he does win a championship or he goes there, whatever is, when it's all said and done after the season, Kenny Atkinson gets another notch on his belt for helping develop a player and really maybe save his career.
Definitely. And if you get a chance to talk to Brook, tell him that Alex Cuesta Sports Opinions Podcast, big-time Nets fan, says if you win your championship, you get your ass back in Brooklyn. I don't want you to go get back. You did what you need to do. Now get back, come home, and win one with us, damn it.
It's got to be a team-friendly deal, though, Brook.
Oh, listen, I think he would end his career as a Net if it's the right situation. I really think he would.
It's just a matter of whether the Nets would feel the same. But I'll tell you one thing, Alex. That number 11 is going up in the rafters.
It has to. If it
doesn't, franchise leading scorer, man.
Hell yeah, it has to. All right, so we're gonna switch gears because you are a basketball guy. People know you're a basketball guy, but I did not know that you also like baseball and that unfortunately you're a Red Sox fan. I still like you though. You have a lot of saving qualities with the Nets, but the Red Sox do kind of hurt. Being a Yankees fan, I'm pretty happy that they're struggling right now.
Yeah.
There's too much talent on that team for the Red Sox to struggle all year. I'm convinced that they're going to be okay. How are you feeling as a Sox fan right now?
Look, I grew up 5 minutes away from Shea, first and foremost. So I was raised a Mets fan, and I do pull for the Mets, if that makes it any better. I know you're Yankees, but
the Mets don't pull for the Mets apparently with the moves that they make and the things that they do. Like,
yeah, but look, they're only 4 or 5 games under 500 right now. But with the Sox, I think, look, it's May. It's still way too early. But I think that they're seeing the consequences of losing guys like Kimbrel and Joe Kelly. Like they can't seem to close games out. Guys were struggling to hit the ball, obviously, earlier in the season. Mookie's starting to come along now. So, yeah, I think it's just way too early to even consider to count them out or anything like that,
And I also think you also saw the importance of Chris Sale struggling. And he's been a little bit better, but He's been struggling. You guys need him to be the ace because he took a lot off that bullpen when he was able to go 7, 8 innings, give up 2 runs. I really think that he's a massive cog because he was relied upon a lot last year during the championship run. And if they want to have a sniff at it this year, he's going to have to be a guy and right the ship completely.
Yeah, it seems like they go wherever he goes, and I don't know. Watching him, it seems like he has a little. He's lost some velocity on his fastball. I don't know if he's hurting or anything like that, but he doesn't look like the Chris Sale of last year. And like you said, he's starting to pitch a little bit better. The other night, I think 17 strikeouts.
Yeah,
it's just they gave him this big contract, and now it's a matter of whether he could live up to it. And like I said, they go where he goes because he's by far the best pitcher and probably the best player they have on that team.
Now, that's arguable because right now I think you see a guy in Mookie Betts who is a potential MVP player every single year. But he has a guy hitting next to him in JD Martinez who just knocks the cover off the ball all the time.
Yeah.
In terms of the lineup, who is more important when they're right? Is it Mookie or is it JD?
It just seems like JD is always hitting the ball. Like you said, he's always on top of it. I think Mookie is the heart and soul of that batting lineup. I think that the way he plays the game, he's so versatile. He could do everything. I think, like you said, when things are going right, Mookie Betts has to be playing his best ball. You saw in the playoffs last year, kind of struggled early on. Later, towards the end, when they started winning games, was when Mookie was rallying. So I think that question is hard to answer because if I haven't seen JD Martinez struggle yet. So I don't know what the Red Sox look like when JD is struggling. But I think Mookie is like I said, the heart and soul. I think he's captain of that batting lineup.
So last quick question, are your Sox going to catch my Yankees? And you better answer this the right way.
Look, Alex, you guys have basically your whole team injured and you guys are playing still top-notch baseball. It's like that next man up mentality. It's right there with the Yankees, and it's always been, it seems. So I honestly don't think that they're going to catch them, but I think the Red Sox are still going to slip in at least with the wild card. But again, it's May. It's way too early for me to predict anything.
Yeah, it's just always fun. And running a sports podcast, I kind of have to put your feet to the fire.
Of course. And look, if the Yankees, like I said, if the Yankees come back healthy, I can't imagine what they're going to look like come, July.
You know what's the funny part? Early on when they were just sitting there and trying to hit home runs, the Yankees struggled. This current roster gets on base, hits singles, hits doubles, gets guys in scoring position. That was the biggest issue for I'm going to call them the all-star Yankees because all they did was want to knock the cover off the ball. Yes, we have our home run hitters, but we're getting on base and driving guys in. If Stanton comes back, if Didi comes back, if Judge comes back, and they're not hitting these guys in, that's a big problem for me. So We'll see how it goes. Like you said, it's May. But if it comes in and we start seeing another 200+ strikeout level from both Stanton and Judge again, then that could be an issue to me because that could hurt a lot of the chemistry and a lot of the good things that the Yankees are doing right now.
Well, that's a very good point. And I think, it goes for like any sport, but baseball specifically, since we're talking about it, you go back to the analytics and it's obviously important. It's obvious you have to have it and you have to, put an emphasis on it. But at the same time, you still got to play small ball, man. Like baseball is still baseball. You still need base runners on to get that guy to go up to the bat and to the plate and hit that 3-run home run instead of a solo. I get so fed up watching games. Like when I see the third baseman basically playing shortstop or towards closer to second base, like why not bunt the ball? Get on base. It drives me absolutely crazy.
Baffles me completely.
Like baseball's still baseball, man. No matter whatever analytics or whoever wants to say so, just get on base.
The shift should be outlawed. I really think it should be outlawed. I think it's one of the worst things that's happened in baseball is the shift.
It's just how do you change that? You don't want to change the game too much, and traditional baseball folks will, they'll melt down.
Yeah,
I think you just have to adjust it against it.
I don't know. It's you know what? That's a whole podcast, literally talking about all the rules of baseball. And the shift wasn't a thing for a long time. It was you set your guys up and you played, and whoever they hit, they hit. The shift is a new thing with analytics. So it's kind of the old school versus analytics versus what has now become accepted against what would be pushed back. Baseball's in such a weird spot right now in every which way that it really could just be an interesting topic for just a full series of podcasts. I'm not even kidding. It's insane.
No doubt. With the rule changes and what they should change and what they shouldn't change. And, social media era and having these younger kids grow up and want faster paced things, faster paced games and stuff like that, just faster paced everything in life versus where baseball is a traditional sport that's obviously slower. It's like, how do you find that balance? I think that's the biggest question for them is how do you find that balance where it's still baseball, you're still appealing to the, traditional fans, but you're also making necessary changes to improve the game. They have a lot of decisions to make going forward. Definitely worth a full podcast.
It's tough, and I'm really happy I'm not in the position to make those decisions in baseball, but I'm also happy I'm in the position to be a sports podcaster, and I'm really happy that you decided to come on the podcast, Anthony. I appreciate it.
Alex, thanks so much for having me on. It was a pleasure.
Again, Anthony Puccio, reporter for Nets Daily. He's always on the beat for the Brooklyn Nets. He's great. Anthony, any social media plugs you want to give so people can go find you?
Just find me on Twitter at @apooch like a dog, and basically any other social media platform. Just type in @apooch like a dog. You'll find me. Every Thursday I do a Periscope State of the Nets, talking about the Nets, whatever's going on with them. So catch that tomorrow night or Thursday night, whenever this comes out. Every Thursday I'm there on camera, ready to talk.
Yeah, definitely go watch it. I watched a few Periscopes. Pooch is awesome. And again, it's @APOOCH. Can't miss it. Again, I'm Alex Cuesta, host of the Sports Opinions podcast. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at @A_Cuesta30. Find Sports Opinions on Twitter at SportsOpinion30. Instagram, Sports Opinions 30. Visit the Facebook page and go Google search Sports Opinions podcast. And any platform that you have that you use mobile for your podcast, just search it. You will find it. And you'll be able to listen to great podcasts like this one and all the other past podcasts of Sports Opinions. So once again, this is the Sports Opinions podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a good one, everybody.